Okay, welcome to chapter 10, meal prepping, meal planning, and meal preparing. So, we have now covered the foundations of establishing basic nutrition and a really good eating routine, and you just learned how to read a nutrition label and decide and decipher between front of the package reading versus back of the package reading. So these are just practical skills that we went over, and now this is just another positive habit. This is the hardest habit to develop, and it's meal prepping, meal planning, and then preparing. This chapter is all about setting yourself up for success by creating a structured approach to your meals. So, whether you're busy, stressed, or don't have a plan, I'm going to give you some structure that's going to help you when you're in those situations where you cannot cook and cannot meal prep, but we're not resorting to ordering out every day or every week. By developing meal prepping skills, you're giving yourself the gift of preparedness, allowing yourself to focus on more balanced choices even on your busiest days. We're going to go over a little bit of what you're going to learn in this chapter. It's probably going to be one of our longest chapters so far. So, why meal prepping matters, the essential tools and ingredients I feel like everybody needs in their kitchen, step-by-step meal prep techniques. Again, we talked about building a balanced meal, but now we're really going to kind of get into it when it comes to meal prepping. Planning for flexibility, planning for stress, planning for traveling, and then something called the grid method. So this is something that I've developed for my clients and for you that I feel like really is the start of getting organized. Before we get into meal prepping, I feel like it's really important to first go over the grocery shopping and the grocery store. The grocery store is a big pain in the butt for a lot of people, including myself. I do not like going to the grocery store. It is not only overwhelming, but it's just very time consuming. So the number one tip that I'm going to say is online shop. It seems super simple. It might even sound super expensive to you, but it's really, really not. My local grocery store here offers free delivery. So places like Stop and Shop, I can do an order pickup or delivery. It's a $3 versus $7 charge. Target, Walmart has pickup order and delivery. There's Instacart. Costco even has pickup or delivery. So there's so many different revenues that you can use, and a lot of them might even offer you free shipping and delivery. Like my grocery store offers me free delivery, free store pickup. So figuring out if you're someone who struggles already by getting to the grocery store, then yes, I would automatically make the switch when we get into this section to just do an online order. It's going to save you time and save you some peace. We're going to talk about navigating the grocery store. And the number one thing that I would say is also never, if you're traveling to the grocery store, never go to the grocery store hungry. The grocery store is set up in a place for you to have visual impulses. So we talked about sensory and visual cues happening, and the grocery store is purposely set up for if you're going to the store hungry, some sort of sensory is going to pick up and it's going to trigger hunger and visual hunger, and you're going to end up picking something up. And I know we've all done this before. So if you are hungry and let's say you're on your way to the grocery store, go immediately to the protein bar section of the grocery store and eat a protein bar while you're shopping, and then just, purchase it on your way out. That would be the number one thing that I would say, or stop on the way to the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store hungry, you are going to make an impulse decision. So know that that is completely related. I would say start with shopping the perimeter. The grocery store focuses if you focus around the outer aisles, it has like the produce, the proteins and meats, the dairy, the yogurts, the breads. And then you finally, at the end of the grocery store, and every grocery store that I've ever been to has like the more processed sugary snacks on your way out. Obviously, try and avoid them things. Once you hit the perimeter, then you can go searching in and out of the lines if things are on your list. This is going to go back to last chapter, which is read labels carefully. When selecting packaged items, read the labels, check for sugars, check for fats, check for protein. look for products with obviously kind of a shorter ingredient list. And if you're comparing two breads at once, if one has 4 ingredients and one has 15, and they're the same calorie, like let's go for the cleaner option because it's going to serve our body better in the long run. Seasonal produce is great to order or when you're going food shopping and creating your grocery list kind of around that. Right now is fall, so it's a lot of butternut squash and pumpkin and things like that. So if you want that freshness and you're looking for, let's say you're bored with your food, when you go to the grocery store, they're going to have the seasonal produce there. You can maybe make your food shopping or grocery list surrounded by that. Again, it is shopping mindfully. If you're going to the grocery store without a grocery list, you're going to be in there forever and you're going to forget something. That's just a matter of fact. We've been through this all before. So make sure when you're going to the grocery store, we have a list. We are going to go over creating a grocery list. So if you are confused, don't worry about that now. We will get to it soon. And then don't forget if you don't have storage containers, this is a big thing with meal prepping. You're going to need meal prep containers, glass or plastic, whatever is most affordable for you, because we're going to try and make some things ahead of time, cut and store some things ahead of time. If we don't have proper packaging, then the groceries that we're buying and prepping ahead of time to save us time is just going to go in the trash because we don't have proper storage. So make sure if you are going to go be doing this process, we invest in Tupperware. It's going to be used. Now, as we're going to prepare for our trip to the grocery store, we're obviously, like I said, creating a grocery list. We're going to go through the items that we have in the house. So I personally food shop on Fridays while I'm at work. I don't necessarily have an idea of what I have at home, but if I am unsure, and I'm one person, so I know what I go through and what I don't and what I kind of buy double of. But let's say I'm unsure if I have eggs at home and eggs are on my meal prep list. I'm going to wait till I get home to place the order just to make sure it correlates. I recommend doing it beforehand. So I'm one person. If you're a family of 2, 3, 4, 5, you have a husband and meal prepping is busy, make sure you are preparing yourself before by creating a grocery list and checking the items that you have already doing it. So my process might be a little bit different than yours. Everyone's process is totally different. Just check your pantry to avoid overbuying duplicates and saving money that way. Obviously, we're going to try and choose nutrient-dense foods, proteins, grains, produce and vegetables, fruits. We're going to try and create a balanced meal with the same things that we've learned before. Sticking to our list is going to be important. If you like sweet treats, let's say like cookies, and cookies aren't on your list, I don't see anything wrong without adding balance. So being able to add things to your list. Again, if you have ice cream, cookies, candy, and already things in the house, why are we repurposing? Let's get rid of what we have and eat what we have versus continually adding and adding and adding, because then it becomes in the mindset that once I'm done, I'll do better. Once I'm done, I'll watch Pushing. But if we keep adding snacks and snacks and snacks and snacks, these hyper-palatable, hyper-processed snacks, it's going to be a never-ending cycle. We want to build based off nutrient-rich foods. Obviously, we all love snacking and things like that, and that's a part of a balanced lifestyle. But again, we want to do things minimally. So if we already have a cabinet and pantry full of snacks, get rid of what we have already. Or start over, throw everything out, start with one package of cookies and kind of go from there. And then if you can, buy in bulk. So if you start to realize what is a little bit repetitive over in the household, like me is chicken, ground turkey, I'll choose Costco with some of those items. Like I'll go to Costco just for my proteins, and then I'll do everything else at my local grocery store. I don't need big purchases of fruits and vegetables because, again, I am one person. It is going to go bad. So I prefer doing the smaller ones. But things like proteins and dairy and bread, like those things take a little bit longer to go bad. And again, you can freeze those things. So think about buying in bulk also with some items, maybe once a month. sometimes it's fun to go to Costco and BJ's because they allow you to have samples and you can try new foods. And also sometimes they have different foods that you might not necessarily see in the supermarket. I recently bought the spinach feta wraps, the Starbucks stoops from Costco, and they don't have that at the regular grocery store. And it's good to switch it up. So they have for things in bulk that I normally have to go back every single week to buy at the regular grocery store. So by buying in bulk, I bought enough for kind of the month, and I might only have to go back once a month. So those are some tips on how to navigate the grocery store. We are going to talk about next some tools and basic items I think you need on hand to make meal prepping super easy. Okay, so when we talk about essential tools that we need for meal prepping to make our life easier, I mentioned one already, which was Tupperware, storage containers, meal prep containers. That's something that I would definitely have on hand. I like the glass containers. I will obviously attach links here for you guys so you know exactly what I'm talking about. The glass containers, and they're usually one serving, so they fit one serving. So I definitely at least have, I think I have like 12. So when I'm meal prepping, I'm putting it in, we just learned how to use a scale, and there'll be more information on how to use scale and meal prep recipes later on in this chapter 10. But I'll just put it into that versus like storing it in a big Tupperware or whatever. So it depends what it is, but sometimes I'll just end up meal prepping a meal and putting everything in a Tupperware, multiple Tupperwares, so I can just grab and go out of the fridge. That I feel like is super easy, super simple. If you're already in the process of meal prepping, once you're done and completed with it, you might as well just put it in, weigh it out and put it in meal prep containers, because there goes an extra step out that you don't have to do during the week at night. So that's not technically a habit that we need to add because you've already gone through it. It's when you don't do that step and now at night or in the morning it becomes tedious. Oh shoot, I forgot that I had to weigh this. And now you're doing it maybe, but it's just maybe an extra step. Even though it takes about 30 seconds, it can feel like a lot longer. So that is one way to feel like you're saving time, is doing that. Next is a weekly meal planner. So this is a magnet one. I just got a new one. It's going on my fridge. I have a big one and then I have a mini one here. So this is one where it comes with a shopping list and then a weekly meal plan. So a way to, if you have a husband or kids in the house, they can stop asking you what's for dinner. It is going to be on the menu. It's a way to also see and look at a week at your head and be like, oh wow, I have this night. I'm going to have to do pizza this night, or we're going out this time, or my in-laws are coming over, or my parents are coming over, or whatever it is. You can see that you don't also overcook because you're going to be looking and learning how to look at the week ahead and planning ahead for things like that. Next is going to be a crock pot. I love my crock pot. And also there is an Instant Pot. Instant Pot, crock pot. Instant Pot has 7 functions in one. I am a crock pot lover. I love setting it and forgetting it. I've had a crock pot for 10 years and I used to work overnights and I would turn it on before I left. And when I came home from work, it would be done. I feel so safe leaving my crock pot on low and just letting it like cook overnight while I'm sleeping. So that's, I think, why I really like the crock pot, because of the safety of it. While an Instant Pot, you need to be home when you're using it because it has that heat and steam that you need to relieve, so it's a little bit more intense. But the crock pot offers multiple functions in one. So slow cooker, you have to wait at least 4 hours for a meal to get done if you do it on high. While an Instant Pot, you could take that same recipe, do it in like 20-30 minutes. So an Instant Pot has many functions, so it's up to you. Rice cooker. I love a rice cooker. It is not a must, but for me, since I've discovered it, it is. I hate making stovetop rice because I think it, one, takes forever. Every time you do it, if you're not paying total attention to it, then it comes out like hard or different every single time. I also don't, I don't love bagged rice because we talked about serving sizes of a little bit of things and the conversions being off. So I don't really love doing bagged rice. I'll do it in a pinch. But I love doing rice cooker rice. It's so convenient, so easy, and yeah, that's one of my favorites. Another thing that you must need for your kitchen is a food scale and measuring cups and tablespoons. If this wasn't known beforehand, this is a must know now. So these are tools that we're going to be using all the time. I believe I mentioned it in portion control is the olive oil spray bottle. That is something I have in my kitchen. Highly recommend. As far as spices and seasoning goes, I mentioned that they are like kind of free calories. Like, we're not going to count the calories in our seasonings. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's a waste of time. We are going to be going into tracking calories and tools that we're going to utilize. So seasonings are free. I loved going to Trader Joe's and using their seasonings. My go-to seasoning that I always have on hand is taco and fajita seasoning, because if you're in a pinch, taco bowls, pan chicken fajitas are just something so easy, and having like a huge thing of seasoning like that is going to make your life very convenient. Next is going to be, I think everybody cries when they chop onions. I cry when I chop onions. And then it's like, it burns and then I'm stopping and going. So I have this chopper, this automatic chopper thing that I love, that cuts onions, peppers, whatever kind of you want, really simple and quickly, and it's super easy to clean. So that's an essential that I have in my kitchen. I have this new colander that I had that makes me super happy. It goes over the sink. So when I'm draining food, it's not sitting at the bottom or I have to hold it and try not to burn myself in order to pour it through. It's this long thing that extends, that sits on my sink, that you can extend it to fit your sink. And I use that to drain my pastas, wash my vegetables, wash my fruit and everything like that. That's another essential that I have in my kitchen that makes meal prepping easy and fun. Sheet pan and a baking dish is something that I would recommend. A sheet pan is super simple for doing sheet pan recipes. So if we don't have one, I would definitely invest. And then the glass Pyrex dishes are something that I do to make quiches. To push it a little bit, I would say a muffin pan, because you can do individual quiches that way as well. Or muffins in that, protein muffins and things like that. That again are already portion control and grab and go. So those are some essentials that I have in my kitchen. I will definitely put a list together. I do have an Amazon store for you that you can shop through, and I put a lot of stuff that I have in my kitchen, whether or not it's an essential or not. I find it super useful, and these are things that I love to use. So when you have things and tools like this, it kind of makes meal prepping a little bit more fun and makes it a lot more convenient. Before we get into the hard part of now trying to teach you how to create a meal plan, prep, and prepare and all these things, let's talk about what do we do when we feel overwhelmed. So there's going to come times in our weight loss journey or our health journey, and we're just so busy. Like, we're either like, I have women that commute to the city. I have moms and they have newborns and they're working, and so many scenarios occur. Family comes in from town. There's events and birthdays and X, Y, and Z. And it takes up your weekend time. And then if you have to go to work on Monday and travel to an office, like, how do you expect to get things done? So my number one tip is, once we learn to get organized with ourselves, is to use a meal prep company. Like, do not resort to just relying on you. We need help sometimes, and utilizing a meal prep company is fine. Like, you're going to spend money on lunch anyway by ordering out, because you're going to be hungry and we don't skip foods. So by knowing ahead of time and buying a few meals ahead in advance, it's going to alleviate that stress. And this isn't happening all the time. It's just like a freaky week, let's say, and we need to rely on stuff. So a meal prep company would be number one. If you want to ask me what type of meal prep company I would recommend, if you're on Long Island, they now ship to some Northeast regions, would be Healthy Meals Direct. They cater to the 40% protein and building balanced meals, and their nutrition aligns well with what our goals are here. So that would be a company that I would recommend. There are lots of companies that are, I've had clients in Florida and California, and I found the meal prep companies by researching in the area for those clients. So if you need help with one of them too, obviously this will be something that we'll message about and speak about, and I'll try and find a meal prep company in your area. So being able to use that. Number two, when we're trying to do things super easy, is do quick to go items. Like, we don't need to be cooking eggs and making meals for breakfast and lunch. No, there are frozen items that are grab and go, which you're going to get the list of all these things. That is what you're going to use to replace your usual breakfast. So like I said earlier, I got these duplicate feta egg white wraps from Starbucks. Like, that is something that I plan to head for and keep in my freezer at all times, which you will learn to do too, because life is crazy and it's not perfect, and we have these moments that when I'm crazy, I'm going to grab them and go. So if you know you have some days like that every month, you might as well buy some things that are stored in your freezer. I have that, and I always have protein waffles. So there is going to be at least a list of 10 things that I will provide you that are quick to go options that are grab and go that can be kept at your freezer, and you can eat these things to go. Second is knowing where you can buy things if you need to out. So I mentioned Starbucks already. Starbucks has 2 items that I really like and recommend because they're higher in protein and fit well within the calorie range. And it's a spinach feta egg white wrap, which has 20 grams of protein and 290 calories. And then they have egg white bites, which are, I believe, 12 grams of protein and 180 calories, if I got that right off the top of my head. But those are something that is also quick and on the go and nutritious. So we're not just looking to go for a bagel and cream cheese. Not that a bagel and cream cheese is wrong, but is that going to be satiating? Are we just going on our base of our cravings? Did we plan for a bagel and cream cheese? No, we want to avoid impulse decisions. And if we are busy and on the go, we want to already have things and know ahead of time, hey, this is a busy week. These are the items I need to stock up for so I don't make these impulse decisions. As far as lunch goes, I already mentioned for lunch or dinner, you can use a meal prep company. But let's say you're going to use a meal prep company for dinner and you're like, oh, I need different lunches. I'm going to provide you a sandwich ebook that has 50 different types of sandwiches to it. So your problem is solved for lunch. You can do anything from canned tuna, canned chicken, egg salad, deli turkey sandwiches. There are so many different combinations of sandwiches that you could do, and they can be made beforehand. And that's also a quick and easy lunch that you can grab and go that really takes no effort besides just putting it together. So there we have 2 options already for when we are in a pinch that we need to know mentally we need to resort to. It might not be the most mentally satisfying meal, but we don't have that mental space to do that. And maybe we can do it with our snacks or possibly with our dinner. Again, so let's say we really don't want to use a meal prep company, and what are other options that we could use for dinner? So I have a list of 12 things that you can get at the grocery store that are already cooked items. So things like Kevin's chicken meals. There's Amy Lou's or Belinsky's already cooked chicken sausage. That's just 2 brands right there. There's turkey, chicken, or beef meatballs. They have Trader Joe's has a version. Target has a Good and Gather version. Stop and Shop has a version. So being able to have this list of go-to options too. Rotisserie chicken. That's another one that I feel like is important to mention. That's already cooked. You could build a balanced meal with that. You can also use a rotisserie chicken for your lunch. But having a list of things that you can resort to when life is crazy and in a pinch is important, because we don't want to just resort to impulse buying. And again, it might not be the most enjoyable week for you food-wise, but hopefully the following week you will have time and we can cater more towards what we're craving. We're just trying to live and survive. So those are tips of things that I would do if life was chaotic and I was in a pinch, and I will add that list on here for you. Okay, now we're getting into the hard stuff. This right now is, we're going to get into the planning portion of meal prep, which is where we're going to use kind of a calendar, weekly shopping plan, and things like that. So we're going to talk about what are the key advantages of meal prepping, and it saves you time. You think it takes up your time? It depends what you're doing, obviously. If I always tell people, which we'll get into, is have themes. If you can't cook Indian, Italian, Spanish, and Chinese food themed food for the week, that's too many different ingredients, too many variations, and things like that. So I tell people to end up picking a theme, which we'll get into next. And once you get certain methods down pack, it'll make your life actually much easier versus scrambling for food and not knowing what to eat, and it'll save you money. Then it'll help you with balanced nutrition. So we didn't know maybe necessarily how to build a balanced meal before because we didn't have meal prepping down, and maybe we were missing out on some macronutrients. This is where it's really going to make a 360 and it all going to make sense for you. And then I'm going to help you be creative with this. So I've been meal prepping for over 8-10 years now. So how am I not bored of it? I have a lifetime left of meal prepping, but it's constantly being creative. Taking recipes that normally I've gotten to a point where I take recipes that I see online and they may not have a protein source, and I'll just add them to or make a certain substitute. So you'll learn about easy substitutes that you can make with cooking in order to make things lower in calorie as well. But it's a way to satisfy yourself versus always waiting for the weekend or always waiting to go out to eat. I don't enjoy going out to eat as much anymore because I truly love my meals, and anytime I crave something, I make it, whether or not it's pizza, pasta, like Indian food or whatever, Greek food, gyros, pitas. Like, I truly enjoy making my food at home, and I hope you get to that point too. So if we're getting started with meal prep, we're going to start with planning. And this is obviously a packet that you're going to get, but I want to show you here. And the first step in meal prepping is planning your meals for the week. So we want to consider what your dietary goals are, what your preferences are, and any obviously restrictions that you have. We want to browse recipes, create a meal plan, and make a comprehensive shopping list. So that's a lot that we have to do in the planning stage. So first is, are you a weight loss client? Are you looking to gain weight? Do you want to just change your energy levels? Anything like that. Then the biggest thing I would say is, and when you assess your dietary goals, let's say your weight loss, we just need to make sure our plan creates it so we're in a calorie deficit. You are not at the stage yet, and understand that it's okay because no one is at the stage yet where you know your calories or you're in a calorie deficit. That's not the point of this habit program. That's not the point of this first sustainable habits to get you to lose weight. It's not learning calorie deficit and then your habits change. No, because then you're going to make everything try and fit here. I'm going to give you some basic guidelines for it to be in, but also your body is going to tell you when it's full and when it's hungry. And that's something that's more important than just knowing what your calorie range is. So you will get to it soon, don't worry, but everyone is at the stage where no one has their calories yet. No one knows how much they are eating every day. And you don't know how much you're eating every day anyway when you don't follow a plan or when you go out to eat. So when you naturally eat at home, you naturally eat lower in calorie. And you're going to see that point here. We want to consider your cravings and your preferences. So that's super, super, super number one. What am I craving this week? That's always what I ask somebody when they create their menu, or when we have like when I ask clients to incorporate a trigger food or something like that, like pasta or in their snacks, a cookie. Consider preferences or cravings. So if we're working on trigger food, so pasta is going to be something that we're going to try and work into a thing. And then next, if you've run out of ideas, I have this for you. These are my websites that I love to use. I have my own recipe books. You're going to get recipe books in this. But again, there are some resources. I still go on and look at these websites as I've run out of ideas. Or on my phone, you can save recipes and put it in an individual folder. So anytime I see any sort of recipe that my eye catches to and I watch more than 3 seconds, it automatically gets saved in a folder. So I can look back one day and be like, oh, what am I craving? Like, what is this? So it gets a point in time where, you need to look for inspiration, and you will have those few pages that you constantly know you can kind of resort back to because social media has everything on hand now. So your little checklist is, what is your dietary goals? Our dietary goal right now is balanced nutrition. So focus on hitting protein, complex carbs and veggies into our meals. Preferences, like what are you craving this week? Like this week I'm craving Mexican and tacos. And then browse recipes. So if you need inspiration, these are the 3 that I use. I will probably share you some Instagrams that I like to use as well. And then there's always a checklist that I like to go over. This first one is, I'm going to break this up into 2 parts, but do the recipes have a theme? So when we're looking at a meal prep menu and start to build it out, what is the theme for the week? Am I just kind of doing chaotic things and making a different theme every night? Like, is it tacos, Indian, Mexican, Italian, Spanish? Like, is that what I'm doing with my themes? That might be a little bit overwhelming. What I usually tell people to do with theme night, especially if they have families or you're cooking for other people, I'm just one person, is to have a theme and a sense of what is the protein that is being used that night. That's one. So it could be Monday nights are chicken, Tuesday night is ground beef, Wednesday nights like a fish, Thursday is ground turkey, a chicken thigh. So you're rotating the protein that you're using for the week, and then you can find the recipe that way. Or it's then the next theme could be cooking utility. So Monday is a sheet pan, Tuesday is a crock pot, Wednesday is a pan, Thursday is maybe a quick to-go option that I mentioned before, Friday is sheet pan again, Saturday is barbecue. So changing the cooking method could be another option. Third option for theme is having theme nights versus food. So every Monday is an Italian night. Every Tuesday is taco night. Every Wednesday is barbecue. Every Thursday is burgers. Every Friday is meatballs. So like doing, I guess, having a specific theme regarding like the style in which that you're cooking can be one. So once you figure out what is the easiest for you, I find it easiest by doing either picking the protein wise or cooking method wise. Sometimes if you, like I said, like if you are cooking so many different things by going from like Italian to Greek to Spanish to whatever, it's a lot of different ingredients. So unless we get into a place where we can make and learn how to make it super simple, I feel like picking the protein first and then or the cooking method is the easiest way to do it. Next is when you're also looking for recipes is to determine if there is similar ingredients in them. So I'm not going to make a recipe with broccoli, one with zucchini, and one with spinach. Like I'm going to try and find recipes that have the same vegetable throughout just because it's going to be easier for me. So can you make things have similar ingredients? Can you do shortcuts? Can I add frozen food? So I have this butternut squash sheet pan recipe that I took from someone from social media, and I changed some things around in it. And one of the things that I did is instead of using sweet potato and butternut squash like whole, I used frozen butternut squash instead. It made it from a 45, 50-minute recipe, because you have to cook all that down, to a 15-minute recipe. So can you use frozen options? Yes, we can. Are the recipes I'm picking convenient? Is there 29 steps to it? Is it a 20-minute, 15-minute, one-pan recipe? So figuring out that way. And then lastly, it's important to understand and check in with yourself. Is this satisfying my cravings? Is this something I want? Or are you just doing it because it's diet culture, because you think it's healthy and it's going to help you lose weight? So picking something that is truly going to satisfy your craving, because we need to learn how to cater to that. Because if you don't cater to it, you're just going to always go out to eat, and the scale is still not always going to like go up or stay the same, but we're not really going to be making the progress or learning how to balance our food and balance our lifestyle if we're always resorting out to only satisfying our cravings when we're out to eat. An example of that is chicken fingers and fries. I know everybody loves chicken fingers and fries. I have clients that love chicken fingers and fries. And for a long time, my clients like are so against buying, like I either prefer Bare chicken or Real Good chicken as two brands that taste like chicken fingers and fries if you chicken fingers out, and then I buy Alexia fries, or you could buy Ore-Ida fries. It doesn't matter. They were so against doing it for themselves, but every Friday they would go out to eat. So I like 2 months into it, I'm like, try it, see if it changes. And it did. It was like, I can't believe that like this was so satisfying to me. I don't need to go out for chicken fingers and fries. It's just the aspect and where we put the food and label the food and how we put it on a pedestal that we think we can't have it at home because if we're going to gain weight. But food out versus eating in is so much different calorically and nutritionally that it's really important to start satisfying our cravings at home. So after that, we went into resources and we just created our plan. We are planning our meal. We either wrote down, used a grid. We are planned our meals for the week, whether or not it would picked a theme of proteins, theme of cooking method, or a theme of recipes. After we have created a plan, you need to know how many meals that you need to prep. So this is a big thing. People will only plan Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday is included in your meal prep. You need to prep for the weekend as well. So being able to, and that's where the list of easy proteins is also going to come into play for you during the week, because we don't want to cook 7 days a week. It is hard. We cook Monday through Friday, and then that's why we're out all day and eating out all day over the weekend. So the list of easy proteins is going to be something that's going to be a staple in our food, because we're going to realize the patterns that we are doing with this meal plan that we are creating as well. Now we're going to get into something that I like to do for planning. And it's a method that I created with my clients that, you might find this easier step one before going to this method. And again, it's a lot to go from not planning your meals to now planning your meals for 7 days a week. So this is an easy way to do it that might be a little less overwhelming. Okay, so we're going to assign each meals to each day. You prepare yourself for meetings at work. This is the same thing. You need to set time aside for yourself to create your grid, to create your menu, and you're going to schedule time. So my time is Fridays during my lunch hour. It takes me less than an hour. It takes me no time at all. So it might start by taking you a longer time, but you will get better and better at it. But it's picking one day where you're not distracted and you can be consistent with that day. It's not sometimes Monday, sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Monday. Find one day during the week, Monday through Friday, that you can create your menu for the week, okay? Again, if you is on the weekend, that's fine. But again, you're also prepping and planning. You're also prepping, and cooking and having a busy weekend. So that's why I recommend your plan be done during the week. Okay, you're going to assign meals to each day. So you've learned how to eat regular eating patterns for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What you're going to do is plug them into this grid so you can see it visually. Here's an example of a grid and the grid method. So if you are overwhelmed by looking at this, I recommend starting with one thing for right now, and I would make it dinners, okay? Breakfast is an easier meal. Lunch is an easier meal. What we struggle with meal prepping and planning for is dinners. We frequently go out to dinners, so maybe you go out to eat for lunch a lot. So either start with dinners or lunches would be where I would start. Eventually, you're going to get to the grid where it looks like this. So it's knowing what you eat for breakfast and thinking about what you have for the week. All right, what are my go-to things for the week? What does my week look like this week? Is it an easy week? Is it a busy week? Do I cook it before my breakfast? Don't have time? Like, I don't know your individual schedule right now, and it's up to you to see if you can decipher and create it yourself. But it's easier to start with easier things. So Greek yogurts, protein bars, protein shakes, protein waffles, hard-boiled eggs, and then you can get into harder things like doing Kodiak muffins. I don't know what it's called, but it was like with muffin mix mixed with eggs in it and breakfast sausage. So quiches, egg bakes, cottage cheese toast. Like, eventually you're going to get in a place today where we can't just keep with our boring meals during the day, because that's when we get other cravings and things like that, which we kind of went into the psychological aspect of nutrition. So we need to feed that aspect as well. But if you find it challenging and you're creating yum with your lunch and dinner, fine. Again, if you're eating Greek yogurt every day for weeks, you got to change it up. Like, you're probably snacking at some point in the day or overeating later in the day because you're just having this really boring, unsatisfying breakfast that you don't really realize that you're doing. But for purposes of this, I set up my breakfast during the week is different from the weekend. I included eggs on the weekend because I have more time on the weekend. Lunch, I have Healthy Meals Direct, so Meal Prep Company and turkey sandwiches. This is a busy week, so I really want to have like quick and easy to go things, and I don't want to spend money and do a Meal Prep Company every day, but I incorporated these meals on Sunday, Monday, and Friday. Why? Because I've learned that my eating patterns, I get really tired of sandwiches by Friday, and I usually eat out with coworkers. So I'm putting in a Meal Prep Company on Fridays and changing it up on Fridays because I know I normally eat out and don't stick to my plan. These are things that you're going to start to pay attention to with yourself. We all have eating patterns. Sunday is super busy for me, so I just want a quick and easy lunch. And on Mondays, I'm mentally tired and don't really want a sandwich, so that's why it's a Meal Prep Company on Monday. I've learned these visual cues about me, and you will learn them about you too. Next, the theme night for dinner that I picked the protein. That's the theme that I went with that I find it easiest for. So on Monday, I'm having chicken breast. I'm going to find a quick and easy chicken breast recipe, or I should already have one. Ground turkey, fish, chicken sausage, chicken thighs. I know on Saturday I'm going to be out for dinner. I already know my plans in advance. And Sunday I want a really, really easy meal, which is pasta and sauce. So there it is, picking the sort of protein-wise. And then in there I put, like, important is grocery store trip. So when are you going to the grocery store? It should be something planned in advance, and we should know when it's coming too. And if we have plans all day on Saturday or all day Wednesday, and that's our grocery store day, we need to switch that day. We're not just going to go with the flow. We're putting intent in our meal prep, plan, and preparedness here. So we can't just like go with the flow. We need a little bit of structure, and then it will get easier and you will develop a habit with it. So that's also another thing. If you're just constantly changing it and have no structure, it's not really a habit. It's not discipline yet. So being able to do that. So your homework is going to be to do a grid method. I have some clients that have done it, and that's their homework assignment too, that I might share with you. And I feel like it's very helpful with doing not only these versions, but doing and adding quick versions in. And instead of me going out to lunch or ordering food 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times during the week, it's now reduced to 1. So you'll see that it's really going to save you money and eventually time when we get this method really concrete. So you just learned now how to meal plan. You learned about the grid method. You know about the shortcuts to grocery stop. We are also planning the grocery store trip in advance, and we are picking a day to plan our menu ahead of time. So that's a lot. Now we have to go into cooking our food. What is the best strategy now that we just grocery shop, now that we created this plan? I don't have time to meal prep. It's a big thing I hear. It takes too much time. I already gave you the tools to save you time. Now we're going to talk about how to break it down so it's less overwhelming. Now we are on to the prepping part, the hard part. I know a lot of people who grocery shop and then they don't end up preparing the food. So we are going to learn how to do certain methods that'll make our life a little bit easier. And it's planning it. One is definitely planning it and scheduling it. Is looking at your schedule in advance and knowing where you can have time to do it. Next is prepping ingredients in advance. So what I mean by that is, can I cut, chop, or do anything when I'm home one night during the week or on my Friday night before I go out with my friends that'll save me time beforehand? Remember, I told you about the chopper thing, which is a must-have cooking prep thing in my kitchen. So can we prep any ingredients in advance? I usually will maybe do rice in the rice cooker first, or throw chicken in the crock pot, maybe just for shreddable chicken. So when I'm home later or the next day, my rice and chicken is done. I will also use the chopper to chop up vegetables. And keep them in the fridge. Why I like chopping vegetables in advance too. If you are someone who cooks for a family, you cook the night of. So by having an advanced chopped peppers, cleaned lettuce, chopped onions, chopped bell peppers, chopped cucumbers, it's already grab and go for kids snacks, like if you want to do hummus and cucumber, and for your cooking stuff. So you don't have to sit there and now tediously chop, get out your chopping board, dirty another knife. Like, we already did the chopping and things already. So if it's in meal prep sealed containers, it's going to last you all week. It's also great for salads. If salads are part of your lunch and dinner, all the vegetables are already freshly washed and chopped, that you can just grab to build the salad. I think chopping vegetables in advance is super convenient and easy. Another thing to prep in advance is washing your fruit in advance and putting them in containers versus leaving them in the containers from the grocery store, and as you're going along, you're cleaning some, eating some. That's the tedious effect. If we're already putting the process and effort into it and we're dedicating time, prep what you can in advance. And that to me is shredded chicken in the crock pot, using my rice cooker, cooking, washing and cleaning my fruits and vegetables, and chopping whatever needs to be chopped. Also, with strawberries or anything, like cutting off the tops of the berries, convenient. So prepping ingredients in advance, that's a way that you can help save time during the week. Utilizing time-saving cooking methods. So we already talked about that. That's crock pot. That is you making crock pot, instant pot, rice cooker. All these things are time-saving cooking methods that you can, and time-saving cleanup methods too. Next is batch cooking. So batch cooking is what I like to use multiple cooking methods at once. So if I need to make 3 different things, I'm not going to do 3 different crock pot recipes. I'm meal prep. I'm one person. Again, for you, you might use the crock pot every night, which is fine. That's different. But when I'm going to batch cook and cook everything in the 30, 40 minutes or hour that I'm dedicating to it, I'm using 3 different cooking methods. So I'm usually using the stovetop, a 1-pan 20-minute recipe. At the same time, I'll have my crock pot going, and at the same time, my sheet pan in my oven will be going, or something will be in either egg muffins or something like that. So while the 1 pan that I'm occupying my most time with, everything else is kind of done and on its own. Remember, I already chopped my veggies in advance, so I just laid everything out on the sheet pan, added a little bit of oil and seasoning, and now it's in the oven for however long. The crock pot, I threw everything in the crock pot. That's going on its own. The only thing that I'm dedicating the most time to is a 20-minute recipe, because I will not do more than a 20-minute stovetop recipe, that I just need a little attention to it now. So by the time that's done, my oven recipe is done, and then my crock pot still just kind of needs to finish. So I'm going to batch cook items, and I'm not going to do multiple stovetop things, because that's just going to be too overwhelming to me and too many things I need to clean all at once. So it's also easier for me to clean that way, because one I will do in the sink, and then everything else will go in the dishwasher. Working long to short. So this is when you let's say you're new to meal prep or time-wise, and we don't know how to utilize our time better. It's starting with recipes that take the longest time. So on Friday, marinating things taste better when it's sitting in the marinade the longest. So by working long to short, so start by marinating your chicken, start by maybe doing another crock pot recipe. Those things are the long things that is, by the time now the next day comes, the crock pot done, the chicken needs to be cooked. Either the chicken that is marinating can go in the crock pot, or you can cook it on the barbecue. And then it's like the little things after that. So it's working recipes that take the longest to the shortest, and then utilizing and planning things in advance. Then it's being smart and knowing that eventually you're going to be in a pinch and you need a quick meal and maybe something didn't work out well, or maybe a meal went bad and oh shoot, I don't even have meal prep. I don't have deli turkey. I don't have canned tuna. Fine. Freezer meals. I love freezer friendly meals. So that's making some things purposely for the freezer, overdoing chili and freezing 1 or 2 items. Those things are always going to come on hand. And there's a point in time where you don't feel like cooking, and there it is. There is the solution. You've made these freezer-friendly meals that are to go. And this is when we have the time for it. Sometimes we have nothing going on for the weekends, and we can be a little bit more creative and stock up on our freezer meals. And then it's important to label and organize. So being able to label and organize your containers in the freezer or in the fridge is just so you know when things are going to go bad and we're not wasting food here. So here I have time-saving tools that we talked about. Marinades, I didn't mention that before, but there's so many different marinades or salad dressings that we can use for marinades that are really time-saving, where you don't have to create it yourself. And then you can always then just focus on making yum with the vegetables or with the rice. Like I'll do boring teriyaki chicken, but I'll do a fun onion crunch salad and a fun fried rice for it. So it's not just this boring thing I don't look forward to eating. Okay, so we learned how to create a meal plan. We learned what prepping things in advance is important for, and we learned how to prepare or best strategies for preparing these foods. Your homework assignment is going to be creating the grid method on your own, and by creating a schedule for yourself 7 days a week. We're going to come in a place where you're going to be sending me the grids, and we're going to be going back and forth for a little bit of time to come up with a good routine, because I know that this method is new and this method is very hard, and there's lots of little fine details that go into it. The most important thing I would say is you know your patterns. You should start to understand your patterns now. And if you haven't, this really will, because you're going to you must order. You don't must order, but I really, really recommend ordering a meal planner and a magnet for the fridge, because you're going to see where things start to fall apart if we didn't plan them if we didn't prepare ourselves in advance, if we didn't acknowledge and we forgot, oh, we had outing this time and outing this time. Again, life is about flexibility. So when we learn that something is changing in our day, it's important to go to the calendar and do it. And we're like, oh, shoot, I had this. So like, you're never going to schedule your kids' sports, your kids' activities, your family's activities. You're never really going to book yourself that, because you go in your calendar and you prioritize and realize, oh, sorry, I can't. So-and-so has this. Like, what is another day and time that works? And it's not saying you're going to do that because you already pre-planned your dinner menu for the week, but you're going to be like, oh, shoot, now we can better prepare your week, and we can go into the weight loss aspect of that by starting to look at the menu in advance, knowing where you at calorie wise and what's going to fit best within your calorie needs, so you stay on track. So by you not referring back to the method just because plans change isn't what we're looking for here. You want to be prepared and know what's going on to not feel disorganized and chaos. And when plans change, which is going to happen, and we need that flexibility, of course, and not every time we are going to know where we're going to go out to eat and what, it's going to help us be better prepared to know, hey, we talked about practical hunger before. I need to grab something before I go because I don't know how long this is going to take. And you can start to see where those other hunger signals or snacks need to come into play for you as well, which we spoke about in the prior chapters. So by completing this chapter, you've equipped yourself with the practical tools and know how to keep with balanced nutrition and mindful eating, even during the busiest weeks. So consistent meal prep helps reduce the what's for dinner dilemma and the decision fatigue, and brings ease and structure into your daily routine. The skills that you've learned here can serve you for the foundation for maintaining your goals for long term. Now we're going to go into program 2, which is food logging and our weight control program. We'll take things a step further, and here you're going to learn how to identify patterns and trends in your eating through food logging, allowing you to make more informed choices that further align with your goals: calorie deficit, calorie maintenance, calorie surplus, body composition change. So by tracking what and how much you eat, you'll gain valuable insight into your habits and how we can adjust them for your ongoing success. So get ready to dive deeper into detail on your nutrition journey, and you'll gain tools for understanding your eating habits even better.